Hi everyone, Sarah here from Homfray Embroidery. Today we are going to look at how to do cross stitch. So this is one video in a series of videos, and we're just doing a little stitch sampler. So we're just going to do a video on each embroidery stitch, and you can have a go at the stitch. If you want to have a go at a whole sampler and stitch along with me, we're doing this as a project as well. So you can either dip in and out, or you can do the sampler with me. If you haven't seen the other videos yet and you want to get started, I'll put the first one up here so you can go and check that out, see what it's all about, see how to set up your project and how to get going. And then I'll put a playlist up at the end of all the other videos that we've done so far. So we'll just have a little look at what I did so far. So we started with a running stitch. That's a nice simple one to get going if you want to learn embroidery and get into embroidery. Start with running stitch. Really nice one to get going on. And then we did a bit of seeding. So there's a little bit there. So 6 variations of seeding. A little bit there as well. And then we had a look at back stitch. So this is back stitch here, makes a nice solid line, really nice one for edging if you want to do a line around something. Back stitch is a really good one. And I thought we would look at cross stitch today. Now if you're a cross stitcher, I'm sure everybody's heard of cross stitch, very popular, lovely form of embroidery, but you normally would work it on a counted fabric, so on an Ada fabric with the holes in, and you're quite strict about how you work it. So you would work it in a row, and then you'd work half the stitch one way and come back and work the other half, and then you do the next row, and it's sort of quite formulaic. But I wanted to just look at the stitch as a stitch on its own, because you can just do it a bit more freestyle on your embroidery if you want to. So I thought we'd just look at that and how to do that on a fabric that's not a counted fabric. So I'm going to show you on my little sampler here, and I put a little bit of this really lovely ribbon down. I'm going to do a row of stitches down here, and if you were a cross stitcher, if you are a cross stitcher and you would like to do to have a go at something a little bit more freestyle, maybe this would be a good way to do it. So you're doing a stitch that you're already very familiar with, but you're not doing it on something with the holes in it, so you're losing the safety of the holes, as it were. No, we don't need you. We don't need you. Stay where you are. Good boy. Where did I get to? So you're losing the safety of the holes, but you still know the stitch, and it won't be as neat without the holes initially, but if you just keep doing it and keep putting in, that will come. So I'm just going to show you on here. I'm using 2 strands of a stranded cotton. I've got it in an embroidery number, actually crewel number 5, I think that is. For my 2 strands, I've put a little knot in the end. I've got how to do that in those other videos, so do check those out if you want to know that. And then just to start it, I'm going to slide my knot between these layers of fabrics. I've got a backing fabric on there, top fabric, and then I've got my decorative one. You can just do this in a frame if you want to. If you'd like to do it more traditionally and not handheld, this is a sort of slow stitch method. This is a bit more traditional. You could do it in a frame, that's absolutely fine. I'm just going to show you on here. I'm going to form the cross in one go. So if you're used to cross stitch and doing it on an Ada fabric, as I said, you might work one half of the cross first and come back and then work the other half. No, matey. Ooh. There we go. Not today. But because I'm not working it on that, I'm going to do it in one go. Now, because I'm holding it in my hand, you can do this in one movement or 2, and I'll do it both ways. So I'm going to put the first half of the cross in. Let's just do it this way first. And then I'm going to come back and put the other half in. I'm going to come underneath and that way. And then when I start my next cross, you get a longer stitch on the back. If you want to do them next to each other, I can now come up here for the next one. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you can see more clearly what I'm doing. So I'm coming up at the end of that one. Because I went down there, I can now come up there, and I'm going to make my cross again. So you could either do a row of them like you would do in normal cross stitch, you go down at the end of that previous one. And with cross stitch, really, I mean, nobody's going to mind. Don't do it. The ones that go that way should be on the bottom, and the ones that go that way on the top, or the other way around, it doesn't matter, but they should really go in the same direction on the top, but it doesn't really matter or you can just do them individually, and you could scatter them about just like we did for the seeding. Just randomly scatter them around. So if you're doing it in your hand, you can do it in one movement. So you can just see how I'm bending and flexing the fabric. And I'm going across there like that. And then I'm going down the other side of the cross, and if I want to do it singly first. So up, down, come up in the other corner. They don't come out quite so neat, that will come with the practice. A bit more freestyle, that one's not very good. Let's have another go at one. You want to come out immediately above where you went in, that will make a much squarer cross. That one's better. Let's try one more, see if we can get that a little bit neater. There we go. Just shows if it's not coming, just a bit of practice. 2 stitches, I've got it much neater. Or you can do that method where you do it in several movements. Come up above, go back down. So it's a really easy stitch. It's only like the seeding stitch we did, but we're just crossing 2 over. And then it's just about practice just to get it neat. So a nice simple stitch. You can work it in the rows. You can do them singly, you can dot them around, you can make them bigger, you can make them smaller, you could fill in an area with them like we did with the seeding stitch. Just nice to fill in an area and still have some other background showing. So it's quite a versatile stitch. You don't just have to do cross stitch. With cross stitch you can just use it as an individual stitch itself. And I'm just going to show you how to finish on the back. It's the same as we have done previously. So I've come out there, and all I'm going to do is just catch a little bit of the fabric. There's not a lot of stitching to run my needle underneath, but if you've got this little backing fabric on it, this is where it really comes into its own. A couple of stitches over and over. We'll do 3 just for good luck. Like so, and then we can cut that off. And it's nice and tidy and neat on the back, and you've finished your thread nice and neatly. No knots, no loops, no surprises. So just a good way to finish off your embroidery stitches. So just have a little go at that one and see how you find just doing that a bit more freestyle, and don't forget, just practice it just to get that neatness to come. So if you'd like to see the other stitches that we've been doing in this little stitch sampler and make one up of your own, this is the playlist for them up here. You can check those out and have fun just enjoying working the stitches and playing with them and learning some new stitches. Don't worry about what it looks like, just keep practicing. If you've enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.